there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today, it's another day, it's another Switch video, but this one's been sent down to me by my good friend Chris from Gadget UK 164, and it was sent to him by one of his friends whose son dropped it in the bath. Now, they got it over to him pretty quickly, he's stripped it down, he's given it an IPA bath, he can't see any corrosion anywhere, but it's not turning on, so he asked me to have a look at it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now if you watch this, if we go to turn it on by just tapping the power button, you will see that in fact it does come onto here, but then it goes off to this little icon up here. Now it has been on charge for a long time and it hasn't actually made any difference. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on charge but turn it off, because what's happening is, I'm not saying it's the fault with this one, but what often happens is the battery's so weak and yet it can't charge because the screen keeps trying to turn on. So what you have to do is you have to plug it in and then you have to turn it off, and then it won't try to turn on, because every time you unplug this and plug it in and out, it's going to try to turn itself on. So for example, watch this now. If I do that there and plug it in here, you will see now it will start to turn itself on. You can see it is slow charging here, 0.39 amps, yeah? And you can see that that icon's up there. So basically the backlight is lit up now, and it's not going to give the Switch a chance to charge because the energy is being used to charge up, you know, to light up the backlight and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to be really patient, just in case this is an easy fix. We are going to hold down the power button completely so that everything goes off the screen, and then it will still be charging. So if I was to then unplug this and plug it back in again, it's going to start all over again trying to boot up. So let's just turn it off here and keep it held down for a good 10 seconds or so. Got my fingers still on it, still on it, still on it. There you go, and now it's gone off. Now I'm going to leave it there and I am not going to touch it. You can see that's what it's drawing at the moment. So I'm going to leave this for a good hour, maybe even 2 hours, to try to get some charge into that battery. So it's been about 5 minutes and now it's consistently 0.33, so it's moved up from 0.32 amps to 0.33, so 330 milliamps at 5.11 volts. Let's check on it again, maybe in 5 or 10 minutes. Right, it's now 10 minutes later, so let's just reset that and we'll do it again in 10 minutes time. And look, it's jumped up now to 0.35, so it's definitely drawing more, which is a good sign. So let's give it another 10 minutes now, and let's see where we are then. Another 10 minutes has gone, so now let's reset it again, and it is actually reading the same as before, but look, it's bordering between 0.35 and 0.36. Can you see now? It's varying between the two. So now I reckon in another couple of minutes it will go over to 0.36. Right, so nearly 15 minutes has passed, and look, it hasn't gone up any more than that. It's still stuck at 0.35 and 0.36. Well, it's been about an hour now since I started, and as you can see, it's 0.36, 0.35. So it was jumping up for maybe the first half an hour, and then after that it just seemed to stabilise as this. So I'll tell you what, let's just do it now and see if it's going to do anything. So just press the on button there. Let's see if it goes past Nintendo. Okay, it's gone to 0, that's good. Fantastic, excellent. Is it going to go more? Console battery, 16%. There we go. Okay, touchscreen's not working. Okay, none of the touchscreen's working. Let's get some Joy-Cons, see if they can attach onto it or not. Try to turn it on again. Well, that's paired. Okay, well that's paired. System settings, controllers and sensors, touchscreen sensitivity is standard, test input devices, test touchscreen. Right, okay, so there's definitely nothing happening with the touchscreen. So let's strip this down and see if there's something with the game card reader. Also, I'll tell you what, let's get a game card and let's see if it is reading an actual card, because then we know whether it's just a digitizer that's faulty or whether it's something to do with the little circuit board connection, because that holds the digitizer, which is the touchscreen, and also the game card. Alright, here we go. See if it gets recognised. No. There we go. The game card could not be read. Please remove it and reinsert it. No. Okay, so it kind of recognises that there's something in there, but yeah, that's not working. Right, also that's oh, that's just loose. Yeah, do you know what's happened there on that one? Yeah, look, you see it's rounded up here. So what happens is, with these, when you put the little things on wrong and just yank them off, and more importantly, when you're whacking them on and off here without pressing the button in, then it's or when you're taking them off without fully pressing the button in is when it happens, because can you see this one here is like locked into place, but if I only push that down a tiny bit and yank it out, it's kind of constantly rubbing on that. So if you push it fully in and lift it out, then you're not going to get as much wear. But yeah, that's gone completely there now, but that's not really a problem. You can easily replace that with little metal ones in there, and then you won't get that annoying thing where when you kind of lean over to do the volume that it disconnects like that. Yeah, that's gone really loose there now. Right, okay, let's strip this down. So I've been charging this up for about half an hour extra now, and you can see it's gone to 32%. So the charge is really starting to get into it now. But I've noticed that it's not. I mean, look at this one now. So this one's working, but look, now this is not working. Yeah, so there's something wrong with the Joy-Con there. And when we do that and put it on, there, right, it's kicked in now, but there's really bad stick drift on it. So watch this. If I go to here, controllers and sensors, and go down to calibrate control sticks, watch this one. Right, ready? Look at that. It's just decided to stay down there. Yeah? Look. And also in the middle, it's well, actually, it is central in the middle, to be fair. It's just incredibly slow to go to the middle, and it gets stuck. Look at that, you see? It's just doing what it wants to do now. Look. Yeah, so that's not right. And also, this one over here isn't great either. So if you watch, can you see it's not centering? It should go to a square like that, but it's not always going to a square. There, you see? So they're not good. Also, if you have a look at this one here, can you see it's not seated on it properly? It's like it's been peeled back. So I think to begin with, before we take it apart, let's just see if there's any way we can get that sorted. So the contacts look clean here. I'm worried why this one here isn't making a good contact. So I'm going to get some IPA. In fact, can you hear it? It's just doing its own thing now. Look. Yeah. I'm going to get some IPA, and I'm going to flood this area down here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just peel it back here, and I'm going to spray it in here. Obviously the sticks can be replaced, but that's up to the owner if they want to replace it. It's not hard to replace them. So but I'm going to spray some of that in it just to see if it's, for example, the water damage that's causing it. We'll do the same on this one, and also let's try to clean up the contacts down here. So let's turn off the switch properly. It's even harder, it's just doing what it wants to do here now, see? There we go. Right, and let's see if we can get these fixed up. So I'm going to be using some isopropyl alcohol and a little brush here. And I'm just going to be rubbing the pins down here in the corner. And I'm going to be putting loads on here as well, and then repeatedly pulling them in and out with my finger on the back, so I'm not going to cause any damage. Hopefully that might scrape on the pins and give them a clean. Right, I'm just going to see if I can get that back into its locating, because in here basically there's loads of little holes, and on the rubber caps there's fingers, and one of the fingers has come out. So I'm just going to see if it can be manipulated back in. So if you have a look, let me zoom right in to show you. Right, can you see here? Basically there's a little hole there. Yeah, and now the rubber finger from here has actually gone into that hole. And then if you have a look here, there will be another one here, you see? And that rubber finger hasn't gone into the hole. Can you see it's there? Sorry, my fingers are going to be in the way. I can't do this without getting my fingers in the way. But there you go. That's the rubber. That's the thing. That's the rubber finger there. So that needs to go back into... Where's the hole gone? The hole's here. Just here where my tweezers is going into. Do you know what? I'm going to have to get my eye loop on that. I can't see it clearly enough. So I'll start recording again when I get that back into the correct hole. There we go. So much easier with the eye loop. That only took about 10 seconds. So you can see now. Can you see that? Forget about the wear, but look. Can you see it's now back into its home? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this bit here, and I'm going to start putting some IPA down into it. And then after that, I'm going to actually spray some of this into it. And then because this is in a spray, it's going to get right in down deep. Now this is probably just going to be more a short-term solution. So these sticks are probably going to need replacing. And again, with a water damaged switch, it might only last a couple of weeks and then it may go faulty again because water damage is just a nightmare. Right, let's see if that's made any difference at all. Right, so it's better, but at the beginning there it still went a bit crazy. But you see, when all the liquids properly wear off from the inside, it could be worse again. But you can see it's better now. Yeah, that's pretty good. If it didn't do that crazy bit at the beginning, I would have said that that's perfect. But remember, yeah, that could all evaporate off and then start causing problems. Right, let's do the other stick. Well, it certainly seems better. Let's have a look at the other buttons. Wow, yeah, the click-ins are working as well. Right, let's have a look at SL and SR. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. SR's not working. Okay. Yeah, so SR's not working there. Probably on the ribbon cable connector there might be corrosion. I suppose we could have a quick look at that. Don't want to spend hours on the Joy-Con. Yeah, the capture button's working and the home button's working. Okay, so it's only one button there that's not working, so that's pretty good. Well, let's get this thing apart now and see if we can get the game card reader and the touchscreen working. You can see the water indicator there has gone over. So that proves the water damage. Right, okay, let's concentrate up here on this one up here. So let's undo the little heat pipe. First of all, let's just pop out the battery. Looks very good for corrosion though. Doesn't look like there's much at all. Just going to have a quick look through the eye loop. Yeah, all looks very good. Obviously, I'm not seeing the other side of the board, but it's been given a good clean in IPA anyway. So Chris has given it a nice good clean. I noticed that the ribbon cable here is a little bit to the side, so I'm just going to pop that in just in case that was the reason why it wasn't connecting perfectly. But also, there does seem to be just a tiny little bit of corrosion just there. Can you see a little bit of black corrosion? So maybe that's why it's slightly hit and miss. Well, I don't know, it looks pretty good. Don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. No, I reckon that's okay. Right, so to put these in, what you do is you put them just this side of the screw. So they're pretty fiddly. They just go that side of the screw, and then they tuck around here, and then up into it, and then you'll be able to get it in nice and straight. See? And then put down the lid. So it goes just that way there. Right, let's take the heat pipe off and have a look at this annoying. This is, well, the worst connector on the board by far is the screen connector. I hate the screen connector because you try to put it in as carefully as you can, and it's so easy to bend the pins. The second worst connector, and not far behind it, is this little Lego connector here. It is horrible because it's so hard to line up, and it bends like this, it bows, and I'm wondering if that's what's happening here. It is just a horrible, horrible, horrible connector. Sometimes you can be lucky, you put it on and it will just work perfectly, and then you take it off one more time, and then you've had it. Now this big one here is for the digitizer. And funny enough, this one is a really nice connector. I've never had a problem with that. But this one here is just horrendous. Right, I'm just going to have a quick look at the pins in here, see if there's any corrosion. Right, so the pins in here look to be okay. The connection on the board here looks to be alright. But this connection here, although all the pins are in place, it does look to be a little bit bent. So I'm just going to try to just gently get that back into place. There we go. So you can see now that looks straighter. So let's try to place it on before doing up any of the screws. So you have got a rectangle to line it up. It's just so hard because when you put it on here, you can't see the one underneath it. So sometimes on other devices, these are easy to line up, but just not on this one. Right, okay, that actually clicked in. That clicked in quite nice that time. So I'm just going to put the digitizer back in, and I won't do up any screws. We'll see whether it's going to make the contact or not. No, it's not happy. It's not happy with the connection there. Let's turn it off. I knew there because there was a long pause between where it said Nintendo and then Nintendo Switch. So I'm just holding down the power button. So this might actually need a new game card reader. Again, I'm just going to unplug the battery. Let's try to line that up again. Right, I'm just going to get my head right in the way with the eye loop again, and try to make sure, because it looks like it's bent again, so I want to make sure it goes on perfect this time. Right, that time when it went in nice. I think the problem is it's all too easy to get it misaligned. So you've got two lots of pins at the bottom, and then you've got the ones at the top that need to, I can't remember if it's fit in the middle of it or fit outside it, but it's very easy to get them like that. So they're not making the contact, you know, they need to go like that kind of thing. I can't remember if it's in or out, but either way it's easy to do them one row down. So that went in really nice, and now it looks like it's nice and flat as well. I haven't put the screws in yet. Let's just see if it's going to turn on. Right, it went over that time nice and quick. Well, the normal speed. Yes! There we go. Excellent. Right, controllers and sensors. Test input devices, touchscreen. Yes, that is working. Fine. Let's go to the very edge. Fantastic, look at that. Go off, come back on. Yeah, that's fine. Off, off, off. Oh, that's brilliant. Right, okay, let's end that. Oh, I need to do the Joy-Cons. Let's see if the game card's working. Oh, I've got to be careful because I'm not screwed in. Hold on. Let's give it some support. Oh, fantastic. What a result. Excellent. Thought I went over there to headphones. That could have been my fingers just shorting out. Let's turn this off fully. And get the screws in, and then make sure the headphone jack's working. Hopefully it was my fingers just shorting between there, making it think there was headphones in there. Right, so let's make sure volume's working. Yeah, that's working. And now let's get the headphones in. Yeah, and they're there as well. Let's make sure the sound's coming out. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, put this in there. Don't know if you're going to pick that up or not. So there we go. It looks like it's working apart from one of the buttons on here. So let's close this up now, put some fresh thermal paste on it, and then give it a bit of a clean. And let's try and see if we can sort out the button on here. I'm just going to use the SD out of my switch just to see if it does actually recognise it. Obviously I'm not going to format it on here because I need this. So now when I turn it on, it should recognise that there's been a SD card put in there. There we go, brilliant. Okay. Well, I'm just going to get a cloth and give it a wipe over. So I've given it a nice clean now, not that it needed it considering it's just come out of the bath, but it's yeah, it's looking good. The only damage on it is the screen protector, which is exactly what you have a screen protector for. You can see there's a crack up here. So if that was taken off and a new one put on, it really would be a very good console. Now, check this out. I was just checking out the button presses and they're all working fine. Remember the SR or SL wasn't working before? Well, I don't know if it was the clean or maybe there was IPA stuck in it or maybe that's worked its way in and cleaned it, but check this out now. If I go to controllers and sensors and test input devices, look at this. Take this one off here, look. It's perfect. Clicking, everything is working just fine. So really the only thing that needs repairing on it is this thing here. You see the fact that this comes off without pressing the back button. So I think what I'm going to do is, just to finish up the video, I think I'm going to take this apart and I'm just going to replace that little plastic one in there with this spare one here. This is already junk because it's got water damage and the ribbon cable can't be repaired here. So I'm just going to take the one out here. If it was my console, personally, I would put in a metal one because they're a lot more hard wearing. But some people are worried about the metal one because they think that the plastic might be a kind of design weak spot, so that then if the console was to bash down on here, then there'd be less chance of the metal causing damage to the switch itself. So like I said, if it was mine, I would put a metal one in, but it's not mine, so I'm just going to put in the original part back into this one here, so it's going to be like it was when it left the factory. Right, so that's the 4 tri-ring screws off the back there. Now I should be able to just take this out from here. Okay, and there's just a couple of ribbon cables. I'm going to leave all them connected. I'm only going to concentrate on this little bit up here. So to undo the screw here. And now I'm going to undo this screw here. Okay, I'm just levering this up here. Okay, and now I need to take this out without losing the screw, the spring I mean. So I'm just going to pinch it with my fingers, there we go, and let it go. Right, there we go, so the spring's out there. So now I'm going to take it out of this one here. And I'm just going to place that straight into this one. Now with these, it does matter which way you put them in. So there's one of these catches for the left hand Joy-Con and one for the right hand Joy-Con. Okay, so now put this back in. Right, so that's done up there, and now we can place this back on, making sure there's nothing trapped there, so it all looks okay. There we go. So we just have to put the 4 tri-wing screws back in. That's on nice and securely, and you can see now that one hasn't got any chip in it. So the one that came out, if you look really closely, you'll notice that there's a groove here. And it's this groove here, can you see? So it goes on here fine, and then there's a piece of metal here, and this should be a nice flat bit at the edge, but it's not, because it's got a chip taken out of it, or a groove. The metal just hops over it when it shouldn't. Yeah. So if you filled that bit in there and made it nice and square again, it would work like it was when it was new. But even if you whack them, they just come off. It's, you know, they do come off. But look, can you see now that that's on there much more securely? So you have to press the button now in order to release that. Yeah, so that's it. And I almost forgot to check it out in docked mode as well, so TV mode, so that's working as well. So loads of little faults there, but overall I think quite a nice little fix. So it's been a couple of days now since that part of the video, and in that part of the video this was working perfectly. But since then I've been using it quite a bit, and this switch is definitely not 100% right. It's 95% there, but 5% of it is causing trouble. But because it's near enough working fully, I don't think it's worth spending hours and hours and also risk swapping out various chips and damaging it for that 5% to make it perfect. So what's happening is, when you put it into sleep mode, when you wake it up again from sleep mode, sometimes it wakes up from being completely shut off. So normally with sleep mode, you just tap it, or you put it to sleep via here and go to sleep, and then when you put it back on, it should do this here. Yeah. But sometimes when I do that, it then says Nintendo, then Nintendo Switch, and then it boots up again. So it can take, you know, it doesn't take long, it only takes about 30 to 45 seconds, but that's not normal. Also, every now and then when you plug in the charger or dock it, it comes up with an error code, 21010001, and it's just got a black screen with that error code, and it asks you to hold down the button for 12 seconds to reset it. But you don't need to, you just tap the power button, it boots up again, and it works fine. Now the weird thing is, when you're actually using it, it seems to be fine. It seems to be more when it's in sleep mode or off, that it just seems to be doing weird things to the battery. So I thought it might be battery related, so I put a different battery in here, and yesterday it was working fine for hours and hours and hours, and then overnight I left it in sleep mode, looked at it this morning, and the battery had gone from 80 something percent down to 17%, and it had turned itself off. So there's obviously something happening, like the backlight or something must be coming on when it's in sleep mode, or there's something draining the battery when it is not being used. So now I've put the existing battery back in here, the original battery, and I took my battery out because it's not battery related. You can see now it's 74%. If I took this out now and left it there, that would just go down like a normal switch. It's when you go to turn it off that it's kind of seems to be draining it the same as it's on. It's really, really weird. And also Chris had charged up the battery, and just because it took a couple of days to get to me, the battery was completely depleted, but he wasn't sure whether the system was fully off or not, so maybe it was trying to boot for those 2 days while it was in, shipping down to me. So I think with this one here, it's not worth wasting hours and hours on it, like for example changing various chips that may not be faulty. I think it's probably best to get it used for about a month with the original owner or the owner's son, and then you see they can give more info to find out what's wrong with it. Maybe the battery is only lasting a day or two, maybe it needs to be charged up every day, maybe through use the fault will rectify itself if it is due to corrosion, or maybe the fault will get so bad where it's happening all the time. And then you see when you're testing different chips, maybe one of them will test faulty with a shorted capacitor somewhere. But at this moment in time, I think it's going to take too much work to get this working 100%, when most of the time it is fine. So it's very hit and miss when it doesn't work. You can see now when I unplug the charger and plug it in again, it's not doing it right now. But I promise you, it does come up with that error code here quite often. If you were using this all day, it's going to come up with that error code a few times. So yeah, this video hasn't really been, it's been a success in the fact that the switch is working pretty good, but it hasn't been a success in the fact that it's working perfectly. And I think that just boils down to most things that are water damage. You can get them working so far, but it's not very often that you can get it working perfectly. Even though the board and stuff looks perfect, you see there could be corrosion where you can't see. The other option, of course, is to put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, and then that could clean under the chips. I personally have never had any luck with ultrasonic cleaners, but they work for other people. I suppose it depends on what model and stuff you have. But yeah, that is it for this video. I mean, it's still obviously much better than it was originally when it came out of the bath, because at least now it's usable, but it's still not perfect. So for now anyway, that's the end of this switch. Who knows in the future whether it will be back on Gadget UK's channel or back on my channel, but for the moment anyway, it's a bit of progress has been made on it. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Big thanks to Chris for sending it down to me. It was nice to repay a bit of a favour to Chris, because he helps me out with loads of things, so it was nice to be able to help him out, even though it's not working fully. It's still better than it was, and the sticks are not drifting and stuff. The sticks seem to be working okay at the moment, and also the latch here is now working well, so it has had little fixes done on it. So yeah, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more Trying to Fix videos. Take care, bye now.